5 simple traits that will tell you if you're made for real estate investing. Cody Hofhine has those 5 traits here on the Fearless Investor Podcast. Hey all, welcome into the Fearless Investor Podcast. I'm Kyle Stanley, and we've got Cody Hofhine coming up on the show. He is a real estate investor, has been doing wholesaling and flipping for just about 5 years now, does over 100 deals a year. The guy is killing it in real estate. He's got an education program as well. His story, though, is incredible. So you're going to want to stick around and listen to that. Before we get into it, though, make sure that you have reviewed our podcast. Have you subscribed? How about on the YouTube channel? Have you subscribed to the YouTube channel? Have you also left comments on videos? In fact, on this one, I would love if you leave a comment on which of these traits that we're going to talk about that are going to make you successful in real estate, successful in life, successful in business, successful in your relationships. Which of these traits do you feel like you're either really strong in or, hey, maybe I need to work on that one? Leave a comment on the YouTube video. We would love to know which of those traits is the best for you. So let's jump into it right now with Cody Hofhine here on the Fearless Investor Podcast. Hey, welcome into another episode of the Fearless Investor Podcast. You're joining me, Kyle Stanley, and we've got an awesome show for you today. Coming out of Salt Lake City, Utah, it's Cody Hofhine, the founder of Real Estate Freedom Formula and Utah Sell Now. Cody, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Excited to be here. Thank you for having me. This is it's really an honor to be a guest on your show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And as you guys can already tell, Cody's got some energy, so it's going to be a fun interview here.
We're going to bring it.
Let's talk about your most interesting or strangest real estate investing story, Cody.
All right. So one just happened recently. Sent my team out on an appointment, sitting there in the mid-appointment. So I do wholesaling. So we get homes at a discount, and then we can either assign them or whatnot. But he's sitting there, and the seller stands up and turns around. And this home, by the way, it just stunk like cat urine.
Oh,
so
geez.
He turns up, like right there in the meeting, turns around, and my acquisition manager's like, Bob, are you peeing right now?
Oh my God.
He's like,
no.
it's just a little bit. It's not that much. It was not cat urine we were smelling. This dude,
no.
it was human urine. He would just take a leak wherever he wanted to take a leak. And so that was the one that just recently happened. You never know what you're going to get.
Did you guys actually buy the house?
We did.
Yeah. One lucky flipper's getting that one, huh? Wow. That's a new one. That's definitely a new one. Okay. Well, Cody, on that note, man, I just want to kind of lay the foundation here. I mean, you've been in real estate really not that long, 2015, and you and your team are doing over 100 deals per year. You know, you got a 7-figure business, you got another 7-figure coaching business. Take us back though, 5.5 years ago when you weren't in real estate, and where were you? What brought you to real estate? How has life changed? I want to hear the whole backstory.
Yeah. So entrepreneurship has always been like my dream. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I worked for my parents growing up. They had a construction business, did that my whole life, became a general contractor myself. And in 2009, we all know what took place in 2009. Like it started to crash, and it crashed hard here too in Utah. And my dad's main account that would give him business all the time for remodels dried up. And my dad, bless him, he would always like cut a check to me. And I'm like, Dad, we don't have work. Like you can't just keep paying me. And so I got uncomfortable, and I started looking online. I started doing sales for vinyl fencing of all things.
Okay.
And I thought, man, I don't have a degree. I don't have anything, but I went in there and did the interview, and they're like, why should we hire you? Over 40 applicants at this time, like that have all degrees. I'm like, you guys convince me why your product's the best, and you will never see a better salesperson. You convince me, and I'll go convince the world why this product's the best. And they're like, you got the job. So it worked. Nice. I got in. I don't know where that came from, but it worked. So I go in there. There's a sales guy that was just phenomenal. He was like the best in the United States selling vinyl fencing. He happened to work for this company. So I'm like, rip off and duplicate. Like R&D is no longer research and develop. Let's just rip off and duplicate and just copy this guy, mirror this guy. So we went down that journey. I ended up being like rookie of the year sales, but I still didn't want to work for someone. I wanted to do something on my own. So I got into insurance of all things, selling homeowners and auto insurance.
Okay.
And I thought this would be cool. This would be great. I can own my own business. Fast forward after year one, after like 60, 70 hours a week, I ended up making $19,000 for the whole year.
Oh.
And at that time I had 2 kids. and a mortgage payment. And me and
Oh
my
man.
wife were like, this doesn't cut it. Like this doesn't add up. And little things would take place that were just incredible, like miracles that would take place. A neighbor of ours, we never showed that we were poor and that we were broke, but a neighbor of ours would always be like, hey, just coming over to bring you some shakes. And he'd bring over shakes from an ice cream store, and taped to the bottom would be like $500 or $1,000.
Whoa.
And it happened to be like the money we needed. Like I still get teared up and like emotional about it. Like I have chills right now because this guy was so good. Like he was just so kind to us.
That's awesome.
And he taught me something just at my young entrepreneurship stage. Always be willing to give back. Like always be willing to help out and contribute and give back. And so that was something that me and my wife, from this individual, we learned, like, if we're ever blessed with this, like, success, blessed with this wealth, we are going to give back. Like, we're not going to use it for us. Yes, we can go have fun and do that and get our financial security, but we are going to give back. And we truly believe that living that principle alone and being willing to give when you don't have, has been the secret sauce. I'm not any genius out there. I'm not an expert at anything, but we do give back a lot. And it seems like it just keeps unlocking more opportunity, unlocking more doors. And so fast forward, still wasn't paying good. 2015, I end up coming home early from work one day to surprise my wife. I walk in the kitchen and she is head like down in her hands. And it's like not a quiet cry. She's like crying, like
Wow.
crying. She was such a good support. And so I went over, I'm like, what's going on? And she wouldn't talk. I'm like, Wendy, please tell me, like, what's going on? And she's like, I still have no idea how we're paying our mortgage this month. And at that point, I'm just like I'm failing as a
Yeah.
dad. I'm failing as a husband. I can't have this happen. Like, I got to step this up. And it wasn't a coincidence that I listened to Tony Robbins. He was like my cheerleader in the background. And he's like, if you want life to change, it's you that has to change. If you want life to get better, it's you that has to get better. And so I'm sitting there thinking, you're right. It's me. I know it. I need to look in the mirror and I need to do it. I was insuring a ton of fix and flip investors. So I got invited to a real estate investor association one night. And this guy stands up and he's like, I did a deal yesterday where I put under contract. I've already assigned it. I made 29 grand. And I'm like, that's 10 grand more than I made like my whole entire first year in insurance.
Crazy.
Like this is crazy. And if you can do it, like, I'm going to go do it. It wasn't that I wasn't driven. It was just, I didn't know the success principles behind how to really make things work, but I was driven. I'll work harder than anyone. And so I finally just committed. I went up to him. I said, hey, will you coach me how to do it? He's like, no, someone like you'll be competition in the near future. And I'm like, well, thank you for telling me the truth.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
ended up just finding a mentor that got me into it. And 39 days into my journey of wholesaling, I did my first deal for $24,000.
Wow.
And that's when I just like pinched myself. I'm like, no freaking way. Like, no way is this happening. And from there, it turned from faith to fact. It was like, it worked, and it worked for me. And momentum and traction just started taking place from there.
That's amazing. I have a lot of notes here. The first thing I want to ask you is, what was that feeling of when you felt like you were failing as a dad, as a father, as a husband? That feeling of, it sounded like failure,
Yeah.
that actually allowed you to push into finding a solution rather than curling up in a ball in the corner of the room.
That's a good question. I've always sat there and said, why does my mindset allow me to go push forward when naturally the feelings I was feeling would hold me back? That's a very good question. I had nothing to lose. 5 years of this paycheck to paycheck. In fact, it's not embarrassing for those listening. 67% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and have less than $800 to hold them over their next paycheck. I was worse than that. And so I'm like, it can only go up from here. Like, I'm at rock bottom, but I believe rock bottom is the firm foundation to start building something on. So I just pushed forward. I have to see it. Like, if I can go out and listen to this story, and I saw the individual on the stage, and I'm like, and it's not in any downgrading way, but I'm like, if this guy can do it, like, he gave me hope. I'm like, if this guy can do it, I can do it. Like, I just need know-how. I just need the know-how. If I can find the right person that will show me. I tried insurance on my own, and I learned that drive, motivation, and just knocking doors, those aren't the principles to success. So I'm like, I got to do something different. I want to find someone that's already in the destination that I want to be at. And I just want to hire them to be my mentor this time. I'll figure it out. I'll put it on a credit card, but I just want someone that it's like, I will gladly trade you places. And I end up finding that individual, and I'm like, will you train me? And he taught me everything he knew. And from there, it was game over.
That's awesome. We talk about all the time, mentorship, education. It's just so key.
It's
there's
huge.
there's nothing like it, and it's silly to think that you can go watch on YouTube. I mean, even just this, you go watch this interview with you on YouTube when we release this, and call it 4 weeks,
Yep.
and people think, oh, okay, I understand the concept now. I can go do it, and you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have the wrong documents. You're going to not get as much money on a deal because you don't know how to negotiate with the seller. There's just so many different things that you're missing out when you don't have a mentor. But we talk about that a lot. I want to actually talk about one other thing you mentioned: 39 days into being a real estate investor, and you got your first deal is $24,000. That is so unheard of. I hear about guys, and we have really successful guys in my backyard here in California that, it took them 6 months to get their first deal, and now they're rocking and rolling. But 39 days, how did you do that in 39 days?
I was going like crazy. So I don't suggest this for everyone, but I was so determined that if I just trust the process, like if I trust my mentor and just do everything he said, that I think half the battle was I believed so much in the process and I trusted the process that again, I don't suggest this for everyone, but I didn't have money. I had a brand new credit card that had a $10,000 limit. Well, the training by itself was $5,000. That left me with $5,000, and I could slowly trickle it out, or I could just go all in. I'm in the philosophy of like NBA, for example. Who's the person that's going to be the likely to make the most 3-pointers? The one that shoots the most shots.
Right.
And I was just like, I just need to shoot a lot of shots. I need to shoot a lot of shots. So that $5,000 only lasted me 2 months. I spent $2,500 the first month. I spent $2,500 the second. Like I knew it was going to be, I'm going all in.
Wow.
But it gave me the opportunity. I'd rather get the deal right now versus, hey, use that $5,000 over 6 months. I'd rather just like, let's go. Let's go. Like I'll work harder than anyone. I just need that phone to ring and I need to get to that first motivated seller. And 39 days later, it happened.
How did you, I mean, that scares me to just think about using $10,000 on a credit card of money you really don't even own, and having the faith. And you mentioned that faith turned into fact. I really liked that, by the way. But how did you have that faith to know that, man, if I do this, I'm going to get that return?
I knew the life I was currently living wasn't working. And so it's like, what do I have to fall back on? Still something that's not working. And so it was almost like go to the casino of life and go all in on you, Cody. Like go all in on yourself. Quit banking on corporate America in the past. Quit banking on this model that's not working. And one day, hopefully it could work. As I would bring on clients in insurance, I realized like to keep bringing that inflow of new customers, I'd also have to hire people, and insurance doesn't pay that much. And so I bring in people. I'm like, oh, next year I'm going to make like 50,000 or 60,000. And then I'm like, oh, but I need like someone that's 20,000 part-time to help me manage those clients I just brought in. So then it's like start all over again.
Right.
And so I had nothing to fall back on. It was like my back's against the wall. I'm ready to do something different. And at the end of the day, I compared it to this. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to college, but I'm like, how many people have 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in college debt? Now, granted, credit card debt is a lot more expensive than college debt, but I was like, and they figure a way to pay it out. At the end of the day, Cody, you're worth 10 grand. And if it doesn't work, you'll figure out how to pay off this 10 grand. It's not the end of the world. Like how many people buy a car off a lot and it depreciates 10 grand the moment they leave, right? It's like,
exactly.
I just wanted to go all in on me for once. I just like, this is it. I'm going to get the mentor. I'm going to get the right guidance, and I'm going to go hard.
That's great. So that was 2015. Now fast forward to today. Give us a overview of your business.
Yeah. Overview today. So last year, to give you an example how we ended out 2019, we ended up doing about 100 wholesale deals. And we ended up doing, it was 27. I just looked at the numbers, 27 fix and flips for the year. Awesome. I don't suggest doing both of them at the same time. It was 2.5, 3 years into my journey that I even did my first fix and flip. And I'm a general contractor, a licensed general contractor. Just stay focused, stay honed in. Maybe we'll go back to this at some point in the future in this conversation, but it ended up being just shy of 2.4 million in gross rev in 2019. And we're on pace this year to do 2.8 million in gross rev. I always want to say gross. That's not my net income. I don't want you guys think I'm netting this. So 2.8 gross income. And then we'll do just shy of 1 million in our second location, which is Dallas Fort Worth.
That's awesome. I mean, such a quick turnaround from a lifestyle where, you've obviously were living this paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. What does the change look like for you and your family? Especially, I mean, I just can picture that with your wife, just emotional, not knowing how you're going to pay a mortgage. And here you are 5 years later. And I'm sure she's not crying over those things anymore.
Yeah, that's, um, we always hear that term, like, money doesn't buy happiness. I'll tell you also to the opposite. It doesn't buy sadness either.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that we're good stewards with our money. We continue to live the principle to give back, and we just give more. So we've increased how much we help people, whether that's through our church, whether that's through our community, whether that is through a team member here that works for our company, and then they are going through a difficult time. My mother-in-law just went through cancer, and she doesn't know. And I sometimes I hate sharing this in public, but I don't think she'll be listening to the podcast. She's not a podcast listener, even in my own podcast. But we paid off her complete medical bills for her cancer because she didn't have the means to do so. And it's just, how do we keep giving back? And I believe we continue to be blessed with these opportunities, and more doors get open because we're willing to keep giving back. And then it just keeps coming back tenfold. It's the law of the harvest. And so now today we're debt free. I do stuff a little bit different than everyone else. All of my rentals are free and clear. We don't put mortgages on them.
It's great.
My home's free and clear. And here's the thing I can tell you, because a lot of people are like, what is it with debt free? Like, why do you do it when you can leverage and own so much more? I make a great income wholesaling. I make a great income coaching. I don't need my rental income right now, but it's going to be awesome in the future when I can just say, hey, 50 homes are free and clear, paid off, and it's bringing in 60 grand a month, let's say, for rough numbers. But what I learned was, when I paid off my home, I no longer woke up every Monday and said, how do I need to get to work because I got to pay my mortgage. I need to get to work because I need to pay for my car. I need to get to work, so I need to pay for this. I now wake up every Monday and be like, how can I serve people to get their financial freedom? Because I'm taken care of. And that was the difference. When I got into service mode and not worry about Cody mode, that's when my business it doubled here in our wholesaling business. It doubled in my coaching business, because it was now just, how do I just serve more people? I'm taking care of me and my family are fine. How do I serve more Codys out there that are living paycheck to paycheck to get them financially free?
That's awesome, Cody. Your education system sounds like something I want to make sure everyone knows about, but you are helping a lot of people. And I think one of the things that I would love to know, because I see it all the time. I have a group of students through my Airbnb coaching program that I go through. And, there's some that you just know right off the bat. You're like, this person's going to be successful. And others that you're like, I'm not sure. And sometimes they surprise you. Sometimes the person that you think is going to knock it out of the park doesn't do anything. And then the person who you were like, I don't really know, ends up doing great things. And it's crazy to see. So like for me, I'm always interested in human behavior, how to identify almost predicting the future about a person. And you and I were kind of talking before we got on here about, there's a few traits that you look for in people that will be successful at this, or have the capability of being successful at this. I'd love for you to share that for our audience, so that people can say, hey, that sounds like me, or maybe, oh, that doesn't sound like me, so maybe I need to turn my attention to something else. So can you share that with us?
Yeah. So 5 traits, let's go through these and break them down.
Okay.
Like, this is something that if I brought in your top 100 students and I brought my top 100 students, I bet you we could narrow it down to these 5. In fact, I bet you it'd be common through both channels. And the first one is service minded. And here's what I mean by that. Wholesaling has nothing to do with real estate. And that sounds crazy. You're gonna be like, you're crazy. You're buying homes every week, or you're assigning homes every week. That's the byproduct. The front end is, are you willing to serve people? Are you willing to go in there and solve problems, be a problem solver? And are you willing to do it regardless if you're the best option or not? Meaning, if someone's best option really is to sell with a realtor so they get their most money, are you willing to serve them and say, hey, your best option is to do this? And they're like, well, I can't. I got to leave in 2 weeks. Okay, what's your other options? Well, I'm hoping you'll buy it. Now, I can buy it cash, but I'm not the highest offer. Is that going to stop us from doing business? And we just serve them. We just serve them. We're not there to think of, okay, how many beds and baths? Oh, okay, what's been the remodel? I don't even care about the home. Is how do I just solve the problem? If I'm willing to give them speed and convenience, they're willing to give me my price. So I'll give them 2, speed and convenience, and they'll give me my price. And I just live by just serve them, solve problems, and be willing to do it regardless if you're the option. And the byproduct is you can get homes at 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar if you serve them at a high level. So that's number one.
That's good.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going, man. That's
Okay.
great.
Number two is progress, not perfection, or massive imperfect action. So what do I mean by this is the students that are willing to go out there and fail their way forward and not build a perfect plan. Perfect plans don't exist. Kyle, you know this just as good as I do.
Exactly.
Perfect plans do not exist. Like, you just got to go out there with imperfect action, be willing to take imperfect action. Are you going to make mistakes? Heck yes. And I welcome everyone to make mistakes, because those mistakes are going to train you a lot more than I can even train you. They will teach you. You never lose. You either win or you learn. You're only going to lose if you quit. And I want you to know progress, not perfection. We're not trying to be experts. My most successful people that I know that go through wholesaling in general are inexperts. Like, they know nothing about real estate, but yet they're the most successful because they just trust the process and go out there and do it. So progress, not perfection, or what I call massive imperfect action.
This is perfect because I actually just talked about this particular topic with my Airbnb Facebook group. And it is just that idea of you just take action. And if you take action, eventually it's going to bring you to where you're at. Just like when you started with the fencing and then you went to insurance, yeah, you look back and you say, man, that really sucked that I did that for that long and was not providing for my family, but it led you to have that pain of actually moving on to something bigger. And people get so scared because they're like, oh, I don't have the perfect cleaner for my Airbnb, so I'm not even going to go out there and take the first step. And it's like, no, you go clean it yourself then until you find that person. Just do it. And so I just had to add that in there because imperfect progress, which is exactly what I love what you said there.
Perfect. Yeah. And the person that takes imperfect action is still further ahead than the person that's taken no action at all. Mm-hmm. Period. The end.
Exactly.
So that's two. Number three is instruction, not education. So instruction over education. What do I mean by that? So many people get caught up at YouTube University and they never leave it. It just education. They get into this analysis paralysis. Commit to instruction. Just today's day one. I'm going to do this and I'm not going to lay my head down until I accomplish it. And then tomorrow, today's day two. Here's what I need to do. Here's how I'm going to do it, and go do it. Just commit to instruction. And so I would say, for example, with your Airbnb coaching, it's probably the same thing. You go to Kyle and it's like, guys, here's day one, go do this. Here's day two, go do this. Mm-hmm. Commit to instruction. Education's fluff. Education is what has got I say this cautiously, but we're in trillions of dollars of debt in our nation from education. Trillions of dollars of debt. It's because there's no instruction to just leave there and go take action. It's all education. Well, education doesn't perform. Instruction does. I just want to be told, Cody, today's day one, go do this. And I go do it and I get a result. Today's day two, go do this. I go do it and I get a result. That is going to make me more successful than just education. When people say knowledge is power,
no,
I don't know if I agree with that. I think knowledge is only power once acted upon.
Exactly. Love it.
That's
cool.
Number 4 is you are the average of the 5 closest individuals you spend most time with. I want you to think of the classic quote by Jim Rohn. This guy was a beast when it comes to this quote. You're the average of 5. If you want to, this is misquoted all the time. It's almost like, oh, you can only hang out with 5 people and the rest you got to forget about. No, you can love, but it means also seek advice from people you trade places with in the field that you're seeking advice from. If I wanted to learn Airbnb, I would be going to Kyle and I'd be, Kyle, bro, I know nothing about Airbnb. I know wholesaling, but I know nothing about Airbnb, but you seem to be in a place that I want to be and you understand Airbnb. How do I do this? And I'm now seeking advice from someone I'm willing to trade places with so that I get just simply to their destination quicker. So the average of 5 is just simply be willing to take advice from those that you trade places with. And if you're not willing to trade places with them, you also got to protect your mindset and throw it out. So if they say, oh, rentals will never work, Airbnb, that thing's dead. Are you kidding me? Don't do that. How many Airbnbs? I would ask that person, how many Airbnbs do you have? 0? Throw that out. Don't even stew on it. Don't even research it. They don't even have any knowledge behind it. Throw that out and go to Kyle and ask him about Airbnbs. Why? Because he has Airbnbs, right? This is crucial. So you're the average of 5, meaning go hang out with people that are already in the destination you're already at, or that you want to be at.
Yep.
And you're going to see they live principles. They have habits that they live that you may not be living. But once you start to adopt those habits, once you start to live the way they live,
Yep.
the likelihood of you becoming them becomes a reality.
Well, there's two things I want to say about that just from my own personal story. When I first got into real estate for flipping houses, the very first person I talked to about this, who is one of the 5 closest people in my life, for a number of different reasons, for faith, for basically eventually becoming a family man. Like, this is a guy that I look up to, but he was very worried for me. He's like, hey man, my brother lost his shirt in real estate. Just be really careful. And I could have fed into that and been like, oh crap, I made a bad mistake. But
Yeah.
I was surrounding myself with other people who had been there, who had done that, who had flipped 97 homes the year before, and was sitting down and having lunch with me and being like, here's what you do. Here's the instruction, not the education. And so
Yeah.
that for sure. And then Airbnb in Fresno, like every single person today says, there's no way people are wanting to stay in Fresno, California. Beg to differ. Got 18 different Airbnbs that will show you exactly why that's a big, big false statement. But anyway, so I just need to drop that in there. Okay. Drum roll. Number 5.
Number 5 is income rarely exceeds your level of personal development. Here is the truth. Everyone wants to be a millionaire. So they go out there and they start chasing the money. If you chase the money, you'll continue to have that chase the rest of your life. And you will one day look back realizing you missed the boat. And here's why. It's because income increases as your personal development increases. Yep. So if you want to be a millionaire, go build a rock solid $1 million mindset and watch what magically happens to your income. Rarely will someone's income exceed their level of personal development. It's always train yourself, become someone better, and watch what magically happens with your income. It will start to grow and match your personal development. If you're not working on yourself daily, I tell everyone I talk to, read 10 pages a day. It's as simple as that. Incredible people have written their experience in these books, biographies. You can learn about Henry Ford. You can learn about J.C. Penney. You can hear about all these people that are even late bloomers, some of them in their 40s and 50s before they succeeded, and you learn from their mistakes and learn from their wins. You can go to personal development books. One of my favorite is Darren Hardy's Compound Effect. Incredible book, just 10 pages a day that allows your mind to think differently, to start thinking like the millionaires. Because if you can start to think like the millionaires, you'll realize that your income will start to follow it.
Well, and I always hear a great example of this when it comes to Donald Trump versus people who win the lottery. So Donald Trump's billionaire mindset is up here, and that's where his income was at for a long time. And then he lost his shirt, came back down, and what did he do? He wasn't happy with being a millionaire. He didn't come back here. He came right back to being a billionaire. Versus someone who wins the lottery, who probably has a mindset down here, gets money up here, and then before they know it, they're right back down to where their personal development is. So I love that you brought that up. So the 5 are service mindset, becoming a problem solver. Number 2 is progress, not perfection. Number 3, instruction over education. Number 4, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And then number 5, your income will never exceed for the long run your personal development. I love that. I think those are things that people need to write down, and they need to really ask themselves where they're at in those traits so that they can match that to whatever business they're doing. We're kind of running out of time here, Cody. So I just want to make sure that people have an understanding of how they can connect with you, how they can become a part of your education system. The floor is yours. Kind of give us that insight.
Yeah. To learn more, you can always head over to codyhofhine.com. There's so much free content that I put out. You can go to the YouTube channel, Cody Hofhine. But codyhofhine.com right now, we're always giving away, and we'd love to do this for your guest, the free script. It's our motivated seller script. This is the script we've been working on for years that has incredible questions, incredible psychology behind it, so that you can draw out the why. Because so many people focus on the home. How many homes, how many beds and baths, how many this. This is just simply the why. Why are you selling? It's the why that we're concerned with. We want to know, why are they wanting to sell their home? Once you understand the why, getting the deal at a discount becomes that much more of a reality. So download a free script. You head to codyhofhine.com and you can just go get there, say you want the script, and you'll just type in a little bit of info in there and we'll send it over to you so you can start having great conversations and begin that journey. So if you haven't done a deal, get ready. This is going to help you talk just like I talk. It's going to help you feel very much confident in what you're saying.
That's awesome. Well, so Cody Hofhine is Cody, just like what it sounds like, and then Hofhine, HOFHINE.com. And then you can also get the show notes, fearlesskyle.com/Cody Hofhine, and you can get direct to that link as well. So, Cody, thanks so much, man. Any last words for our audience before we log off?
No, just go to the bank, go to the casino life, invest in you. If you're worried about leaving corporate America or the golden handcuffs of having insurance or a 401k, I will tell you, insurance is not that expensive and the 401k is not performing that great. Go all in on you. There's so many great people that you're already surrounded through right now, Kyle being one of them. Go out there, live your dreams. You get this shot once. Don't waste it. Go out there and go do it. Go all in on yourself and you'll see that it really is. Yes, it's tough. It's not easy, but when you surround yourself with the right people, it'll lead you to the destination that you want to be at.
Hey, Cody, I forgot to ask, what's the name of your podcast?
Podcast is Real Estate Freedom Formula. And then I'm a host on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. And so every Friday I'm the host on that podcast. And that one does quite a bit. That one's a pretty big, that's one of our babies. We love it. So
that's awesome.
Either way, you can hear on both sides.
Lauren's interviewing me on that next week.
Lauren's awesome. You're going to love her.
She's great. All right. Awesome, Cody. Hey, thanks for being on the show and helping our audience to conquer the world of investing. Hey, as I just mentioned there, show notes for this one are fearlesskyle.com/Cody Hofhine. Again, Hofhine is HOFHINE. And those 5 traits right there, I love all of them. But I really love that last one because personal development at the end of the day is what gets you, we talk about fear. The only thing that's going to get you past fear is developing your mind, developing you as a person. And that gives you confidence. That gives you the know-how. That gives you the idea that, hey, I don't have to be perfect because I trust in my own ability. My own personal development is going to get me to where I need to go. And so if there's lots of fear that you've got in starting anything, I would start right there with personal development. How can I become better at believing in myself because I'm developing the skills to be a better person? So love those 5 traits. That was the one that stood out for me. Again, which one stood out for you? Comment on this video and love to hear exactly what you're either working on, what you feel like you're really good at. So that's it for the Fearless Investor Podcast. Thanks for joining us here. And thanks for allowing me to help you to conquer the world of investing. We'll see you next time.